It's difficult to say what's going to happen next with Fire Force, especially with all the information that was revealed, but at the end of the day, I can say this episode packed a punch. 1 second fights, or any fights where it's going to be over in a very short amount of time, can usually be pretty amazing. They're pretty intense because it's like, oh my god, look at the power imbalance here. Someone was able to defeat this very powerful enemy in less than a minute, less than an hour, less than a second in the case of Fire Force and Shinra. But it's not always, I think, as intense as it should be. And when I saw after last week's episode that they were going to give Shinra a very small blessing of power, that he would have a second or under in order to defeat a beast that, honestly, it was looking impossible to do, because what is Shinra able to accomplish? And last week I mentioned how, well, with 1 second, maybe he would be able to get over to the enemy and maybe half of that, so half of a second, but after that, what can you do? Because really, it seems impossible. And the fact that they once again went into time and basically phasing out of time, the particle imbalance is breaking apart and reassembling, what they were able to accomplish on a visual level, not only on the visual level, the sound level as well, was amazing. The way they were able to portray just such a fast speed of velocity and just the impact was amazing. It didn't hurt your eardrums, but it gave you a sense of distortion as if you couldn't tell what was happening. And as you saw Shinra and just the others were a great addition, because I love how it was very slow, almost like they were frozen in time. The world around them was basically frozen in time because Shinra was moving at such speed and ferocity that the world couldn't keep up with what he was doing. He was faster than the speed of light. And just seeing just him, when they slowed it down even more for him and you just saw him about to connect, and then when they resumed, it was basically like he was phased out of existence. It was amazing to see what they were able to accomplish on this visual level and how the sound really added to those impacts, even though it was quite quiet at certain moments when you got him to impale him or just the speed of him flying around. It was incredible to see what they were able to accomplish because it was absolutely some of the best visual directing Fire Force has seen this season, and I might even go as far as say across the entire anime production so far. These bursts are something to be feared and to also be amazed by. If they're on your side, it's definitely a blessing more often than not, but when it's on the enemy side, you know things are about to get serious. And I love that they were able to really portray a 1 second fight as something incredibly intense and not lackluster, because it wasn't like it was normal speed, where it was just someone who pulled a one punch man, he punched the enemy and it was over. But rather the way they detailed the world and the characters surrounding Shinra, I mean, he ended up miles away. They didn't know where he was by the time time resumed in a normal sense. And I love that they're able to portray something that could have easily been forgettable as if, oh, it was cool that he beat him in 1 second, but I mean, we didn't really see much. They went all in and they delivered on one of the best spectacles Fire Force has seen to date, and I love that it didn't feel lackluster, that a single second was all it took, because we built up episodes here to try to defeat an enemy we thought impossible with the current squadron. And before you even get into all that crazy insanity, we get some pretty great information in how it feels so ominous to talk with someone who you think is going to stab you in the back but really just wanted to protect the forest, and how it's a reveal that she started out as a normal human who then basically got infused with a power of a god that really seems more like a curse than any. And with how the episode ends and Shinra thinking, if a god is what basically blessed our city with what we have, why is it that she now is wanting to destroy it? And it's a matter of uncertainty. Is the church and the religious organizations in this world hiding something? Probably. And now it's a matter of what's going to happen next now that Shinra has more determination to uncover secrets that definitely are supposed to be kept hidden. And that's why you love Victor's addition to the cast, because he's very much poking the bear, that bear being Shinra and his hunger for the answers, and those answers are going to lead to some pretty big conflict, I have to imagine. And even though they definitely dropped a lot of world building and exposition in terms of just really exploring the concept of gods, I mean, during the whole ordeal with Shinra versus this Infernal, you get to see what happened to him before he became this monstrosity, just walking to almost the ends of the earth, trying to pass through a barrier, and then seemingly a god grants you the ability, and you basically get your mind corrupted by these flames. And it's understandable why not only was this Infernal too far gone, this could happen to anyone. And that's a very frightening fact, that something could easily like this talking cultist Infernal, could happen to one of the members on the team. Imagine if something like this they walked up to Arthur or something and just corrupted him like this. It's a very frightening thought, and I'm glad the Fire Force, even though we're seeing Shinra at his strongest, is not afraid to say, even though he may get this amazing ability, he's not always going to have this ability, And also, things like this that you may laugh at or say, oh, this is a mindless infernal, even though it can talk, we destroy it, it's not a big deal, we're not having the family cry that we have to put it out of its misery. We're thinking, this could happen to Arthur, this could happen to the captain, it could happen to anyone, and we could easily see Shinra end up as a sacrifice, as we're clearly learning that these pillars, that's all they're good for, is to fuel and basically be sacrifices for the end of the world. And that's a very frightening thought. I'm loving how Fire Force is extending its story and its character narratives, because I really thought this would be a very easy series to predict in Season 1, and by the end of Season 1 I was like, oh, there's a lot of potential here. And Season 2 is rising to the occasion and really showing why this is a series worthy of hype, and I can understand why in Japan it's such a bold and very popular series, but it's disappointing that in the West it's not getting that same treatment. This is honestly one of the season's best, and I think is going to be one of next season's best as well with its second core. It's a show that definitely has its tropes and gimmicks, but I mean, with these episodes, it just feels like it's always trying something new, trying to be bold and in your face, and the production across the board on the sound and visual levels are absolutely insane. But honestly, character motivations like, honestly, Shinra's are really engaging to follow, and just the conspiracy that continues to get more complex as time goes on. How can you not enjoy this? And I think pretty much everyone who is watching Season 2 probably is really enjoying this. But I hope maybe some of those people who were kind of iffy, they didn't totally hate Season 1, but maybe they didn't have that desire to finish it, will eventually give it a shot, because Season 2 is knocking it out of the park and becoming, honestly, my favorite work from this author. And it's hard to imagine I would ever say that after his previous works. I'm actually really glad that they gave those more simplistic moments with the talking animals, and just how I love how this one is saying like he's gonna dig like 1,000 holes a day, and if that's still not enough, they're gonna call Shinra and the gang. I like how the moments where you think they're gonna be forgotten because we just had the 1-second fight, or we had all this major information about world building and not knowing really anything, and maybe some of the past events like with Giovanni are starting to make a little more sense, we still don't know, and then they give us closure with these talking animals that could have easily been forgotten, and really showing how much Shinra has evolved and changed over the course of this anime. I'm really loving that character focus is honestly first and foremost, with world building and just the overall plot and narrative being a very close second. I never thought that's what the show would be, especially with some of its more gimmicky traits in the beginning of Season 1, but this show with Season 2 is continuing to evolve week by week. And I really feel like David Production loves this source material, because I don't believe they would go so into it and clearly adapt it in such a way. It almost feels like they're putting as much passion as they do with their JoJo projects, and I never thought I'd see them ever do that, or even myself claim that they care about a source material that much. As always, let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? And where do you think it might go? Because there's a lot of information revealed, and just the idea of a god making the world so pure, but then turning it on its head to destroy it. Where do you think that whole concept will go, and what did you think of the 1-second fight? Because I thought it was absolutely fantastic. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.